You know that whole thing, shows up late with iced coffee. This is me showing up late with iced coffee to my own podcast. Hello there, my name is Jonathan and this is Jonathan's Days, and this is my knitting podcast where I talk about all the things I get up to in the knitting and yarn and fibre world. Thanks for waiting around while I came back from taking an unintentional break for the month of June. Just chalk it up to me celebrating Pride. But that does mean I have a lot to get through. It also means we're very much in the depths of summer here in London, and it means that I am already sweating into this wonderful piece. But I will get through it as quickly as I can with lots of fun stuff for you to see. And thanks to everyone who subscribed recently. We hit an arbitrary number and it's nice and round and it's wonderful, and it makes me feel good for some reason. So thank you for all of you who have subscribed, and if you haven't, feel free to. It's really nice, makes me feel good, and it's really encouraging me to keep going, and so we can hang out and chat knitting. So let's start off right away with finished objects. Well, they're all finished garments in this case, and this is the main one that you will have remembered from the previous episode. This is the Great Gingham Raglan by Jessie May Designs, and I finished this a couple of weeks ago actually, and it really flew off my needles. I really enjoyed it. I can't recommend it enough. It is knit out of Spincycle yarns, so the color changing one is the Nocturne base in the color Moonshine, and then the grey, the light grey, is the color is light grey, and it's in their Wilder base. They're both sport weight bases. This is constructed bottom up. It's the first time in a while that I'd made a bottom up garment, and I actually really enjoyed it because I enjoyed the portability of the sleeves, so I was able to kind of bring the sleeves around with me as I knit them. And the body I just knit at home, so I could knit like a sleeve. My sleeve kind of went around with me, went to work, and I worked on the sleeve, and then the body was at home, so it kind of knit up pretty quickly. Super enjoyable pattern to make. You really learn, it is all over color work obviously, but it's not like you have to keep an eye on a chart really. You learn the rhythm of the kind of gingham pattern that Jessie has created. And it's super fun to use the Spincycle yarn because it has that color changing effect, which is really fun. I'm gonna get up close so you can see a little bit how it looks. Here we go. So yes, so modifications. So I knit it, I didn't knit the pattern, I made a few modifications. First of all was the sleeves. So in the pattern you cast on less stitches and you increase rapidly on the sleeve, so you get a little bit of a bell shape. Is that what you call it? No. Bell is when it goes out, like a little bit of a puff sleeve. So it creates that shape. I don't really like that shape on me. It is, just not my preference. So I cast on more stitches and I only increased a little bit, or I think I increased very slightly, if at all, on the sleeve. So it just created more of a straight shape. I also, you'll rarely see me ever do twisted rib. There's another project that I'm working on at the moment which asks for twisted rib, and I never do it. I don't like the look of it, and I feel like it's less elastic than regular rib, so that's just kind of how I feel about it. So the ribbing on both all the cuffs and the neckline isn't twisted, even though the pattern they call for twisted ribbing. What else did I do? Okay, so the raglan here, which is beautiful and very cleverly done. It's such a nice detail, and it you mirror the pattern. It's beautiful. So on the pattern, it asks you to decrease rapidly, every other row. No, I think it asks you to decrease every row when you first join everything together, and then you do that for a little bit, and then you swap to every other row. But in the pattern, they say that you can swap that if you have broader shoulders, which generally I do have more broader shoulders than a standard graded pattern would, since I don't think this pattern has been graded for men or women necessarily. Like Jessie made is great for doing a huge size range, so she does give you the option of like editing it to your body. So I'm just like, oh, I think I'm a bit more broader shouldered, so I swapped it. So I decreased every other row for the first half of the yoke section, and then I decreased more rapidly for the second half, which is in the pattern. So it's not really a mod, it's like it's an option you can do. And then finally, something that wasn't in the pattern is I added short rows into the neckline. I'll turn around so you can see. I don't know, is this in frame? Yeah, okay, there you go. It's hard to do it when I can't see. So yeah, so I added short rows to the neckline, and this I kind of used other patterns that I'd done short rows in the neckline before and kind of cobbled together the methodology, and just kind of like figured it out that way. I did write it down how I did it, and I think it's something that I could kind of add to my Ravelry notes page, so I'm gonna do that when I get a chance. But right now I'm filming this podcast. I thought that was more important. So yeah, so that's all the modifications I did. What size did I make? That is a great question. You're gonna have to check my Ravelry page. It's probably the 3rd or 4th size is usually what I fall under. But I really, or maybe, I can't remember. Look it up on Ravelry, or I'll pop it up on the screen if I remember. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. I'm getting so many compliments on it. We're currently experiencing a like record-breaking heat wave in the UK and in London, so I haven't gotten to wear it an awful lot, but I do wear it with shorts when the temperature is kind of around the 20 degrees Celsius mark. So I'm happy to wear it. I don't sweat that much wearing it with a pair of shorts. So I've been kind of doing that, and it's been pretty great, and I'm loving it. I couldn't recommend this pattern enough. What else can I say about it? I can't keep gushing anymore about it. The yarn is fantastic. It's been holding up really, really great. It's only been pilling very, very slightly. It feels really warm, so I think it's going to be nice in the winter when I've got because it's got all the floats in the back, so it's kind of like that double fabric you feel from color work, which is really, really nice. And yeah, I can't compliment enough. I think you could do so many amazing color combinations, and it's one of those pieces that from a distance looks like a certain way, and then you get up close and it looks like you can see the detail in it. So yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It's my first time knitting one of Jessie Maid's designs, and I think she's definitely a designer. I'll keep an eye and see. It's one of those things, the first time you try someone's designs, you're not sure if you're going to like the way they write things or their style, and I definitely have, so can't recommend enough. So yeah, Great Gingham Raglan by Jessie Maid, and then I'm going to do a costume change into my next finished object to show you that. Okay, so this is my next finished object. This is the Rib Lace Raglan by James N. Watts. And this one you haven't seen at all. I don't think you even saw the yarn that I got for this in the previous episode. I definitely felt the punch of the warm weather and was kind of desperate for some more summer knits, and I kind of really dived in. You'll see coming up I've got another summer knit as a work in progress. But this is one of those ones, when you see a pattern released online and you see the photos, you're like, oh my god, I am immediately going to knit that as soon as it comes out. And this is the case with the Rib Lace Raglan. So this is the second pattern by James M. Watts that I've made. I made their pure mesh pullover, which you would have seen in a previous episode and on Instagram. And I really, really enjoyed that. This one I've enjoyed just as much, if not more. And it's been a fantastic summer knit. I'll get up a bit closer so you can see. So here we go. There's a I-cord here and on the sleeves, and on the bottom I just did a regular bind off. I think I bind it off with a larger needle to get it a little bit stretchier. So let's start with the yarn. The yarn is Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino, so that is 70% cotton, 30% merino, so it's a nice summer yarn. I really want to try the Knitting for Olive Pure Silk as another summer yarn, and I would like to try that before the summer ends, but we'll see. Sophie from the Knit Curl Girl says it's her favorite one of her favorite summer yarns, so it's definitely kind of high up on my list after her fabulous recommendation. And Knitting for Olive I've used a number of times now, and it never disappoints. I think it's one of those yarns you can really count on the quality, to really enhance whatever pattern that you put it in, and this was no exception. It was my first time working with like a cotton merino blend, and it was really nice. It's like soft but like has that bit of structure. Can't recommend it enough. The color is soft lamb. Do I have it in here? Lamb gray? No, I don't have it in here. It's on this. It's already been on the screen. You already know. And then I also got this yarn from Beautiful Knitters here in London, and they sent me just a little, it's one of my favorite, is that upside down? No, it's one of my favorite yarn shops in London, and it's like a little tape which they put in my my order. So you can never have too many measuring tapes, right? It's one of those things that like you have to have 100 of them in your house. And then you'll never be able to find one when you need one, but I really appreciate it. So thank you Karen from Beautiful Knitters and the team there for that little measuring tape. But the yarn I paid for, so yeah, they just threw in a measuring tape freebie. And they're like my usual Knitting for Olive supplier. And the lace pattern, to talk about this, it's pretty, it's easily memorized, it's fairly simple, but it just creates a really nice. Obviously you can see it's like a little bit see-through, but not too wink wink, it's a little bit see-through, but not overly see-through. It is knit top down. Yes, top down. Yes, it's top down, but you pick up to do the I-cord on the neckline. That's why I got a bit confused. And yeah, it's one of the things. I might have extended the sleeves a little bit longer if I was to do it again. I did no modifications. I'm pretty sure, guys, I'm so sorry. I knit the third, I normally knit the third size, so I'm just gonna think this is the third size as well. I'm about a 40-inch-ish chest, 40-inch chest is kind of what I go for, if that's helpful. What else about this? Yeah, I really loved it. I've gotten loads of compliments on this as well. Friends of mine want me to knit them for them. I wore it to Pride in London, which was really fun. And yeah, I really like it. I have been wearing it a lot with how I style it. I've been wearing it a lot with this shirt. So it's kind of like, a little bit 70s kind of feel, and then you've got like this nice light airy layer underneath, so it's great for summer, and I really enjoy it. What else can I say about this? What other compliments can I find, because there's so many? Pattern's written wonderfully. What else can I say? So in the pattern, James does mention about tension on I-cord, and I appreciate that, they say that their tension is a bit looser on I-cord. Basically, they've got the tension pretty right, but it's one of those things that a little bit of frustration for me was that instead of just doing a technique, you had to kind of manipulate your tension, and that I find that like frustrating, that if you're a slightly tighter knitter, then you really have to like focus on keeping your tension or changing needles. You can't just do the technique, if that makes sense. It's not a criticism necessarily, it's more of a frustration. So the neckline for sure on this is too tight. Like it looks nice on, but when I put it on and off my head, it's like, it is a struggle. It is like and you've got to like yank it off over my head. But because it's top down and then you pick up this I-cord, I can always just pull it out and redo it. It's not a big problem. But it is something to kind of be aware of. If you do make this, it's one of those things where working between the fact that you want to have this I-cord to pull everything in and make it look nice and rest nice, but you also don't want to make it too tight so you can't get it on and off your head. So it's a push-pull. You've got to kind of get it just right for you. The nice thing I said is that you can keep trying to get it right, but yeah, that's about it. With that, that's probably my only frustration, but that's just, the way the stitches fall, more than a criticism of the design or the pattern or anything like that. It's just kind of one of those things in knitting that you have to kind of get along with. And I think that's it. I will give you one more shot. You can it looks sheer in moments, but then I don't think it's that sheer after all, Like some moments you're like, oh, it's very sexy, very sheer, and then other moments it feels quite conservative is not the word, but it just feels like not as, I don't feel like I would wear this, and I have worn this exact look. I work in a very like casual place, but I've worn this to work because this kind of like covers any nip slippage, #free the nipple. But it's not too risque necessarily, I don't think. Yes, that's a rib Lace Raglan, and I'm going to keep this on since it's very hot in my apartment because I've got all the windows closed for that good sound. So I'm going to keep this on for now. And then, those are my finished objects. I think that's it. Yeah, just those two. So those were quite big. I really did focus on them and like kind of get through them, because I wanted to wear both of them, so I worked pretty hard on both of them to get them done. And let's take a minute so I can hydrate, and then let's move on to our works in progress. Okay, so works in progress. I want to start with something you will have seen a little while ago, but I put some more work into it, so I just wanted to flash it for pretty quickly for anyone who hasn't seen it before. And I put some work into this because I think I was waiting for the yarn for this. So I was like, oh, let me like just pick this up. This sits in a big, this is from Carhartt. It's meant to be like a tool for like work tools bag kind of thing. If you just search Carhartt tool bag, you'll find it. And so I use it as like a knitting bag, but it kind of becomes a catch-all. It sits in next to my couch. And this is the project that I have in it. So long-time viewers will know this one. So I can detangle. Oh my god. There we go. We got it. So this is my woven chevrons. I'm just going to show it super, super quick to see how much more I've gotten done on it. This is by Stephen West Knits. And is that a mistake? No. This is a woven chevron shawl by Stephen West. I absolutely love it. Ooh, it looks so good. Damn, it looks good. So this is knit with Studio Donegal, Darnie. I have the things right here. Hold on. Oh, look, God, I'm really chaotic today. But look, this is the knitting for Olive. It's not focusing. There we go. Just to give you a quick look at that. That's from this. See, I told you I throw everything in here. So this is the knitting for Olive, but we're not talking about that now. No, it's not in here. Anyway, this is the Studio Donegal Darnie. The colors are just numbers, so they will have been up on the screen now, if not already. So here we go. Yeah, so if you know me, you know I love a geometric pattern, especially in shawls, and so this one is very much my thing. I got this yarn in Wild and Woolly, the yarn shop here in London. Bronte helped me pick it out, who works there and is an amazing knitter and designer, I believe. Yeah, she does design as well. So this has been on my heels for a very long time. It's just something I kind of pick up as and when, or if I'm just kind of bored. And it is pretty fun to knit. I do enjoy, I am really getting into the rhythm of it now. So so as you can see, you start like down here and you knit this section and then you do an I cord. You can look this up on YouTube. You do an I cord out and then you've got 2 sections and you keep going along the whole way until you get to the end. The pattern calls for 9 sections and I am just about starting. I've just done one colour, onto my second colour on the 5th section, and it's one of those things where you're like, I'm on the 5th section, you know, I'm over halfway through, and it's like, no, you're not halfway through because it's a shawl. It's that fun thing of when you first start knitting a shawl and you feel like you're going really fast and then you kind of hit the slog and you're like, each row is taking me about 15 minutes now. But I'm still enjoying it, and it's one of those things where I find it's difficult to knit a shawl in the summer and the spring, but I'm trying not to sound narcissistic, but it did autoplay was my video where I showed everything that I've knitted in 2021, and I had like 3 or 4 shawls, and I've realized I haven't made any shawls yet this year. I've made cowls, but I haven't made any shawls, and I kind of would... I have said before, I don't really care about like how many of whatever I make in the year. I'm just doing it to enjoy it. But I would like to make 2 or 3 shawls this year. So this is one I kind of want to do. I kind of want to get it finished. Maybe before kind of winter proper hits, so that, you know, when my neck starts getting cold, that's real motivation to get some shawls done. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. This yarn is just a treat to use, and I love the pattern. I love how it looks. I think it's going to be quite cool when it's done. And yeah, I just wanted to show you guys how I've been getting on with that, in case any of you wonderful shawl knitters out there were thinking about how I was getting on with that shawl. I'm still working on it slowly but surely, and I think it's one of those things that I'll be going in the background. I might show you again before it's close to being done, and hopefully I'll get it done before Christmas, because there's 1 or 2 shawl patterns that I want to make this year. And yeah, so that's the woven chevrons. Moving on to the next thing, which I'll show these both together actually. So I finished my sock tube, and I have yet to actually turn them into socks. Right now it's just a tube. Could I make it a really funky sleeve? Is this too tight? No. Is that a thing? Yes. An arm warmer? A cool arm warmer? That's like something out of Dune or like a sci-fi show. Anyway, Jonathan, I digress. This is my sock tube. I knit this out of Olann Sioda sock in the color Nectar, I believe is this one. So all I have left to do now, I have a little, like about 15-20 grams left of this collar to do heels, toes and cuffs. So I will split it in half, pick up and then knit 2 toes, and then I'll probably measure my foot length and then pop in a heel, and I'll have a pair of socks. It's one of those things that I just kind of need to sit down and do. I find when I'm at home, I like to work on like the big projects. I like to work on a jumper, I like to work on a shawl, and I always feel like working on socks at home is kind of like a waste of my time, because I should be working on something big because I'm there and I'm focused. And putting in like heels and toes is something that does require a bit of focus. But it's also, you know, it's summer, so I'm not really wearing socks that often, so I'm not really in a rush to do this. But I think as soon as the heat wave passes, I'll want to finish this sock tube. But you know, it's maybe toes and heels. I'm a pretty fast Kitchener guy, and they're all decreases, so I'm pretty sure I could bash these out in an hour and a bit and have this finished pair of socks, maybe even as a gift. I'm such a selfish knitter. But this yarn is beautiful. I can't wait to wear it, and I have already cast on the next sock tube. This is also in Olann Sioda sock. This is the color Muir, M-U-I-R. And there we go. This is my little sock tube. Oh, it's good. Damn, their colors are great. And I'm doing the exact same thing, so it's just 20 rounds of ribbing, and then I will literally knit until this weighs 10, 15 grams for the heels and toes. I do have like mini skeins in my stash that I could match. Like I think, I've got one here. This isn't from Olann, this is Garcon, I believe. And so I just have that just in case I need to use that, but otherwise I should have enough in this, because this is listed as 100 grams, but I have gotten, in the other color, it was definitely 120 grams, and this one is close to 120 grams as well. They're very generous. Irish people are very generous. So I've already cast on this one. It's on 2.5mm needles, and it's 64 stitches. And this one I cast on because I was knitting with some friends, and I had this as my whip, but because I was I haven't done a lot of lace, I wasn't sure how good I would be at chatting and working on this Lace Raglan, so I had this cast on just as kind of knitting that I can talk at the same time. And I think it's always good to have like that stockinette project where you can just go on autopilot and not have to think about it. And for me, it's socks. They're perfect, they're portable, they're fun. And yeah, I love this yarn. I have another skein of this yarn. I will, even though I shouldn't, I probably will keep buying it because it's a wonderful base, and I'm excited to wear the socks when I have them. So those are my 2 sock tubes. I will keep you updated when I do put in the heels and toes, and maybe the next episode or maybe later. I will keep you updated on how that goes, and most likely I will use the Crazy Sock Lady has tons of videos about every single technique you can think of about socks, and she does have ones on adding toes and heels to a sock tube. Although I will most likely use the instruction. So once I've picked up the stitches, I will most likely use the instructions for Andrea Mowry's. Oh my god, I've knit 2 pairs of them. What is it called? What's the name of that pattern with the Spincycle? I cannot think of the name of it. I will put it on the screen. And I've knit 2 pairs of them, so it's crazy. Anyway, so I will probably use the heel from that because it was a picked up heel as well, and I like the technique. She asks you to like pick up more stitches in the ditch where the 2 needles are on the magic loop, and basically I like the way that heel fits and how it's done, so I will use Crazy Sock Lady to pick up and Andrea Mowry's heel to do the heel, and it will make the sock that I want to make. And that's the wonderful thing about knitting. Once you kind of get used to things and you try different things, you can just mix and match techniques together to make things that you like, the things that fit you well, and the things that you enjoy making. So it's what I love about it. So those are my sock tubes. And then I have one more work in progress, which is like the main work in progress. And I notice, as I'm looking at it now, I do have a specific color palette that I'm very drawn to. And where is it? Okay, let me get this organized. So this is my main work in progress. It is knit out of Qing fiber, which I have used previously in my White Mountain sweater. And what's the other Qing fiber? Oh, I used it in my cowl by Max, the Snowfield cowl. But those were both of those, one of those was Melted Baby Surrey, and the other one was their Veronita base, which is like a silk cashmere base. So I've used their really like luxury fluffy yarns, but I had yet to actually use just the regular yarn. And so I wanted to do that, and so the 3 colors I'm using in this project is, first of all, is in their Dashing Fingering base, which is their 100% ultrafine South African Merino. And I will flag here on the website, at least I couldn't find whether or not the yarn was superwash or non-superwash. If you follow me and watch me, you know I tend to prefer non-superwash yarns. And on the website, it didn't say anywhere that it was superwash, and I was under the impression that if it doesn't say it's superwash, it would be non-superwash, because you would need to disclose that. I don't know what the policy is, or if there even is a policy regarding whether something should be labeled or not labeled on a website on the base. But regardless, I ordered it thinking that it was non-superwash because it didn't say anywhere that it was. And it arrived and it is superwash. And so I'm disappointed in that, but I'm, just going to move forward with the project. I really enjoy the colors, and we'll see how it wears. I don't have any garments made in superwash yarn, so it's my first time, so we'll see how it behaves. But so far so good. But yeah, just wanted to flag that this base is superwash, even though on the website I couldn't find anywhere that it said it was. So yeah, so the three colors I have, so the main color I have is this one, so this is the label, and this is the color Shiitake, and so it is like a mushroom color. The best way I could describe it is a gray, obviously, but it's like a lavender pink gray, and thankfully we have some decent light today, so you can kind of pick up, these are all tonals because I tend to like tonals in general, and this label is a bit messy. And then the secondary color is Okinami, which, oh god, come on. This color is why my disappointment over the superwash was very short-lived, because this is so beautiful. It is just like a deep royal teal blue, dark, moody, but like has these bright spots. It's really stunning, and I think they've kind of like relaunched this color. I think there was very few of it left, and then they kind of have probably dyed up a bunch. So if you do like it, I think there should be some up right now. And then the last color, this is caked up because I only got one skein. Oh, it's beautiful. Let me try and find a prettier edge. This one is sky blue, and so it's just exactly what it says on the tin. It's like a beautiful sky blue. And this is the three of them together. And I was so happy when they all arrived. And I'm making, out of them, I'm making the Vellichor by Andrea Mowry. And let me get it nice. Here you go. So here it is. This is where you're trying not to drop stitches. Voila, voila. Let me get up close. You can see, very my color scheme. Grays and blues, and there you go. You kind of see it. It will kind of go a bit funky with the camera, but I just want you to see. I am absolutely in love with it. So actually Andrea Mowry is wearing it in her latest episode of I'll Knit If I Want To. So I was actually working on this yesterday on my lunch break and watching that. I was like, oh my god, she's wearing what I'm making. And I love when that happens. It's really funny. So this, I was so excited about this, so excited to cast this on. I've like made my swatch really quickly and did jump into making it much faster. Looking at my swatch now, my gauge on my swatch was small, but I had a sneaking suspicion it would be fine. And actually now, just looking at the gauge of my swatch versus the actual garment, you can definitely tell that like I did not hit gauge on this swatch, but I think I have on the actual garment. I'll have to measure it. Regardless, I am knitting the third size. I was going to knit the fourth size because this is like a t-shirt essentially. So what you do is you're knitting it bottom up, and then which you could probably tell from just the page, guys, this superwash is slippery, you guys. It doesn't hold on the way non-superwash does, even on metal needles. But basically you knit from the bottom up to the underarms, and then you knit the front and the back, and then you seam, or like you seam, is that the probably the best word to use, together the front and the back, and then you pick up and knit sleeves. I don't think that's giving anything away. I'm pretty sure that's in the pattern notes on Ravelry, because I learned that before I used it, or before I bought it. And so yeah, it's like a kind of a different construction from anything I'd ever done. It is kind of like a boat neck, which I generally don't like, but I do own a t-shirt that has kind of a slashed neck that is the same kind of style as the Vellichor, which I always get compliments on and people really, really like on me, and I really like on myself. So I was like, okay, I know that I like this kind of neckline, almost like it's just like a slash at the top and you poke your head through. And so I really, really liked that. So I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna really like this as well. And I based my measurements off a t-shirt, kind of like an oversized t-shirt that I really, really liked the fit of. And originally I was going to do the large size, but in the moment I was like, I'm just going to do the medium. And I'm so glad I did, because what I didn't realize, even though, I ordered all this yarn, it's called Dashing Fingering. This is a fingering weight sweater, t-shirt. And I didn't kind of realize until I started working on it and be like, this isn't going very quickly. It's actually going pretty slowly. And then I was like, oh wait, you're just because it's a t-shirt doesn't mean it's not a fingering weight garment. That's going to take you a bit of time. So I was a bit like, this is going to take some work. Like, it's not going to be a quick, like, this was a pretty quick knit, the ribbed Lace Raglan, even though it was on like slightly smaller needles. You're doing lace, so you're kind of like cheating because it's all this like space that gets taken up. So this has been this is like over a week's work, and my kind of timing for a sweater is like 3 to 4 weeks is how I can get it sweater done. So this is, or is this nearly 2 weeks now, possibly? Either way, it's been slower going for me than I'm used to, and I've been pretty monogamous with this. I've been taking it to work with me and knitting it on my lunch break, but I've been loving it. I've really, really been enjoying it. It's a easy pattern to learn, but the other thing I didn't realize until I started working, and I was like, oh yeah, it's bottom up. Like it's fine in the round. I'll go super fast. These sections in between the kind of columns, so you've got like these long bits going down, these sections in between are garter, and so I was like, oh, garter, like cool, super fast, not me realizing like, oh, garter in the round means you're knitting one round and purling the next, you're not just knitting every round. So it means there's, this is all essentially like ribbing, you're going from knits to purls every single round, so you're essentially like, you're either knit 2, purl 2, or knit purl 3, or slipping, like, there's no round of just knits that you can speed around, if that makes sense. So it took me a moment to accept the fact that I'm not going to be instantly gratified, which is not a thing in knitting. Like, there is no instant gratification in knitting unless you're seaming up something very quickly. But I had to kind of make peace with the fact, like, this wasn't going to take me 2 weeks. This is going to take me as long as any full, DK or worsted weight sweater would take me to make. And there's not even sleeves on this, or there's just like a tiny little short sleeve on this. But regardless, the color of the yarn in particular, this color, is just sparking so much joy. It's a pleasure to knit with. Thankfully the superwash isn't squeaky, that squeaky noise that superwash gets on needles sometimes. So that's been pretty nice. The other thing with the sizing as well was that I went down from originally thinking of doing the large to have it be a little bit more oversized to doing the medium. And the medium size I think will fit pretty good. But because it's superwash, I know it's will have a tendency to stretch a bit more than non-superwash would. So I'm kind of like accounting for that by doing a slightly smaller size. And the original that Andrea Mowry made was in a 70% wool, 30% cotton yarn, whereas this is just merino. So it's incredibly soft, but it is like squishy and will not have that rigidity that bit of cotton would give. So yeah, but regardless, I'm really enjoying it. I've got a deadline. I'm going to Amsterdam in about 3 weeks. So my goal is to be able to wear this to Amsterdam, because it'll still be pretty sunny. And so, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I've got to say on it. So you will see this finished the next episode, because I do plan on, like, you know, really powering through it. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 like repeats done, and I think for the entirety of the piece it will be maybe 10 to 11 repeats in total, from my kind of predictions. But thankfully, because you're doing the front and back separately, that means I'll have more knitting and less purling to do. So hopefully they'll go a bit faster. But the plan is to have it done fairly soon, and I think that's about it. That's all I've got to say about the Vellichor. I'm very excited. Great pattern. Andrea Mowry's pattern's always written impeccably, and yeah, that's it. I'm loving it. Loving it. Love the yarn, love the colour, love the pattern. Can't wait to wear it. Yeah. Okay, so that's all of the knitting. I want to run through quickly 2 acquisitions. Oh, that's pretty good for me. Pretty good. 2 acquisitions, super quick, and then we're gonna do a bit of sewing chat if anyone's interested in that. Super brief for the kind of crafting experience that I've been having recently. So quickly, I will show you. Spoilers if you are part of the Le Garcon Mysterious Manor Sock Club. Most people are getting their second of the 3 skeins. I've only gotten the first so far, so chances are you've already got it. Funny story about this is that I forgot it even... I hadn't forgotten I'd been a part of it, but I forgot that it was on its way to me. And I was on Instagram and somebody posted it without posting a spoiler warning behind it, and I got so upset. I was so angry. I was like, how dare you? That's so mean. You know, people look forward to this. People get excited about it. Turns out my package had been sitting in a cupboard outside of my front door for about 4 or 5 days, and I just hadn't realized, so that's on me. Anyway, regardless, the theme of this sock club, so the last one was Mysterious Forest, this one is Mysterious Manor, and there's 3 characters who are like themed, and the first one is the Butler. That's him. So you get a little sticker, you get a little pin, which this goes on that knitting bag that I showed you earlier, and then you get a little stitch marker, and this is the first sock yarn. And so this is BFL sock. This is the Butler is what the color is, and then the mini is Shirl's Coal Grey. And 80% superwash BFL and 20% nylon. This one doesn't have any stellina in it. The Mysterious Forest one did have stellina, so if I've said this before, when I finish probably this next socks tube, I'm going to start doing sock tubes of those 3 colors so that I've got like my sparkly Christmas socks. But regardless, this is extremely me in regards to color. It's really nice, like navy gray. It's the closest shade that they do, so if you really like this and you're not part of the club, I made my single malt in the Louis Shade color, and it's not a million miles away from it. It's definitely different, but it's not that's definitely more of like an inky blue, and this is more of a blue gray. And yeah, it's beautiful, great combo, can't wait to knit it up. Oh, and then there's the stitch marker, which is a candelabra, so very, if you're into some spoopiness, that's that. And I think the next one is, it's on its way to me, it'll be here any day now, some people have already gotten it, so yeah. And then finally, acquisitions, so only small acquisitions. I got 2 skeins from Loop here in London, so I'm repping all the yarn shops this week. And I picked up 2 skeins of Madeline Tosh, and this is Tosh Merino Light, 100% superwash merino. I love how I'm not a superwash guy, and all the acquisitions this week is superwash. This I got for a reason. So these 2 colors are Fluoro Rose and Silver Fox. And I've just been in the mood for like a big neon, and when I was talking about wanting to make more shawls, I got these and I'm like, ooh, I want to do a dotted raise, like a striped dotted raise in this, because wouldn't it be really cool with like a black coat in winter to just have this really bright pop. Also, this is the first time I've ever gotten singles. I've never knit with singles. I have like I don't know, I think I don't like singles. I don't know why, but I've never knit with them. So I just wanted to try something simple and get a kind of a fun, exciting color. Similar to my other shawl, I'm like, oh, if I get, the dotted raise seems like it's quite a repetitive pattern, so if you have a really fun color that you're going to enjoy knitting with, I thought it would be really nice. So yeah, so that's that. I just picked that up in London kind of randomly on a whim. And yeah, that's all my acquisitions. Not a lot at all. I've got loads of yarn at the moment. I've got plans for enough sweaters to last the year, at least. I've got I've got 4 sweater quantities, and I'm looking at them. You've seen all the yarn before, but I've got those ready to go. So that's 4 sweaters at least, and we're halfway through the year. So I can maybe fit 2 or 3 more sweaters before the end of the year. Andrea Mowry's Rhinebeck sweater is definitely teasing me. But yes, regardless, I've got enough yarn right now, so there's not going to be a huge number of acquisitions. Look at me lying to you. I'm just lying to you. I already told you I'm going to Amsterdam. Where do you think I'm going to go in Amsterdam? God. Anyway, this week we didn't have a lot of acquisitions, and that's good because I have a lot of yarn. So yeah, that's all the knitting, guys. If you have absolutely no interest in sewing or seeing what I've been sewing, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. Leave me a comment on what you're working on. I read every single one, and I want to know, are you doing some summer knits as well like me? Would you like something lacy? I don't know. So thank you for watching. If you do want to hear about some sewing, then let's talk sewing. I'm going to go over here and grab some of my sewing stuff. Imagine if I like change the camera angle and put me somewhere else and been like, here's my sewing corner. I live in a studio flat, guys. There's barely room for anything. Anyway, so talk briefly. So if you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I took a sewing class at Maketown in London, and there I learned to make a little project bag, which I really, really enjoyed. And so I've kind of been bitten by the bug now, and I don't own a sewing machine myself, but Maketown is a craft creative studio in East London, and there you can take classes and workshops, and you can rent sewing machines by the hour, or you can do my favorite, which is like late night sewing, where the proprietor, Brooke, who is amazing, is there for a few hours in the evening. I think it's about 3 hours, and basically you're renting the sewing machine, but you're also renting Brooke's knowledge and expertise, and you bring whatever project you want, and she will guide you through. You do as much as you can yourself, and then if you get stuck, you shout, and then Brooke will come and help you and show you, which has been great. So I did the project bag, and then I took the next kind of step in the class, which is the How Basics 101 kind of class, where you learn how to make a pair of trousers, and I'm just going to show you here. They've just been worn, so they're not fully pressed or anything, but these are the trousers which I made. And these are made, I don't know exactly what the fabric is. It is a linen, and the pattern is the basic, or the 101 trouser by Merchant & Mills. And yeah, these are very, very me. I wear them all the time and I absolutely love them. So that's them. That's the first thing. So that's the second thing I ever sewed. The next thing I sewed was the T-shirt by Merchant & Mills, and this is it. This has also been worn just once recently, so it's not pressed. And so this one I did at the late night sewing class. This is, ooh, I actually have notes here. I have my little journal. Did you guys know I'm also really into stationery? This is a traveler's notebook with a Tokyo bike charm. And this is Goodnight 185 and the Blue Grey Rib, which is both from Merchant & Mills. So this is the rib. It's not perfect. You can see there's a little bit of puckering here and there's a little bit of a tuck on the sleeves. But I made this, you guys. Isn't that cool? It's so nice to wear. Super, super comfortable. So I nearly finished this in 1 3-hour session. So then I came back the next week. I finished that one and then I made another one, which is here. It's not perfect, but I like it. I made it. The hardest part was like lining up the sleeves, and then the neck, the ribbing is pretty hard as well. But I think if I make more of these, it will be good. And I really enjoyed it, learning it. So I finished that and finished this in 3 hours, which was great. And this grey one is Silt Grey 185 and the Denim Marl Rib. So I've just been like putting a swatch of the fabric with notes on the thread color, the rib color, and the pattern, and the size of the pattern that I made. So for both of the t-shirts I did the size 38, and for the trousers I did the size 12. These are all Merchant & Mills patterns. Super nice. I'm actually going to wear this one today because I'm going to go to the park to knit with some friends right after this. And then finally, most recently, I made another pair of the 101 trousers, but this time I made them shorts. I made them for my boyfriend, and here they are. The legs aren't stitched up, they're just ironed. They are hemmed. They're just rolled up and ironed, because he likes that look. But yeah, it's got an elasticated waist and pockets. And the nice thing about going to the studio is that there's regular sewing machines and then there's overlockers, so you can overlock all your garments and make sure they like last a very, very long time. And these I made in 3 hours as well. Just over 3 hours, I like bashed these out. So I'm pretty proud of like my speed sewing. And I've just been really, really enjoying that. It's a whole like new experience, and it's such a like gratifying craft to do, because you can take your time, and it's meditative, and it is a similar payoff to knitting in that regard. But like in 3 hours you can have an entire shirt done. It's crazy. So I really, really enjoy the fact that there is like an instant gratification aspect of it, which is really, really great. And it's been fun thinking about how I can sew things that I can wear with my knits. And it's fun that now I can wear like complete outfits that I've made myself from head to toe, which is amazing. Apart from underwear, I can knit my own socks, make my own trousers, make my own tops, knit my own jumpers. Sky's the limit. It's just so much fun. And I like can't recommend that. If you're based in London, check Make Town out. They're in Hackney, and they're fantastic. And I will be going back a bit more to learn more. And the million pound question is, Jonathan, are you getting a sewing machine? And the answer is, yeah, most likely I am getting a sewing machine, because I'm just falling in love. So not right now. I kind of set myself a goal of like making a certain amount of sewing projects before getting my own sewing machine, because I wanted to make sure that I really was invested in the craft and really enjoyed it. And so I have, I've made, 5 sewn projects now, and I have some fabric for 3 others. So I probably will do one more project at Maketown with Brooke and then invest in my own sewing machine. I don't have a lot of space in London, but I still think it would be really, really fun to try another craft. So it also means that if you are interested in sewing, I do think it would be quite fun to do like sew days, like a video where I film me sewing all day long and I can chat my way through it, tell you what I'm doing, talk about the fabrics, see my challenges, all those kinds of things. So if that would be interesting to you, like let me know. I started this podcast because I loved watching other knitting podcasts, and I also love watching sewing content on YouTube, watching people make something from scratch and following their process. So I really enjoy watching that kind of content. So if you would like it too, I'm probably going to make it regardless, but yeah. Just so you know, that's on the way. The knitting is not going anywhere. Knitting is my everything. It is my forever. I will never be idle in my life ever again because I will always be knitting. So there's no worry about that. The yarn, there's still yarn on the way. So don't worry about that. But it has been fun to explore another craft. And then finally, the last kind of sewing thing that I've been wanting to try was mostly inspired by Mel from Cozy Cardigans, Big Little Yarn Co., who I love. She's great. She's also the inspiration of the Vellichor. She's why I made the Vellichor crop, because hers that she made a couple of years ago, made it a while ago. In one of her episodes she has it and it's beautiful. She also was doing some, apologies for the crinkle, some sashiko, which is, it's a Japanese craft, like an embroidery craft, where it's basically these like geometric rows of stitching, and it's beautiful and cool, and I thought it would be perfect for summer. And so I got this cloth which has kind of a grid pattern on it that washes away, and you use that to follow a guide to stitch, and it's kind of like dashes, like a running stitch essentially. And so I've gotten, this is from Daruma, is the company that makes this, so I got their like needles as well. There we go. And I got some of the specific, so this is specifically for sashiko, and then this is also the specific sashiko thread, which is cotton. And so this is kind of, so you'd normally see it in like a white with this kind of color thread, or navy with the white thread. But I also got a gray cloth, and I got this it almost looks like hand-dyed yarn, but it's like it will change colors as you use it. Thread as well. These are both cotton threads, and they're all from the same company. They're all Daruma, I believe. Yeah, Daruma. And so I got that as a another kind of summer craft. I also have always wanted to like be someone who carries a handkerchief. You know, not to kind of blow my nose in all day, but you know, if you want to dab or mop something up, I think there's something nice about being someone who carries a handkerchief with them in case of emergencies. Who knows? Anything can happen in life. And so, yeah, that's been really, really exciting, kind of exploring the world of sharp sewing needles in machine form, and now in a little bit of embroidery. And it's been just really exciting. I'm really excited about it. I hope it's vaguely interesting for you guys. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see these kind of things popping up. It's funny, I changed my profile, and now it doesn't just say about knitting, because I'm like, oh, I'm doing more sewing and I'm doing more crafting. So I'm exploring lots of other things that there is to explore in the world of handcrafts, and it's all like wonderful creative stuff that I've just found so fulfilling. So I do encourage you as well, if you're tempted or tickled, to like go for it, try something new. We all love knitting, and that's great, but there's nothing wrong with trying another craft and finding joy in another craft the way we have in knitting. So yeah, so that's it, guys. I hope I didn't talk too fast, and I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you're well. I know it's a really, really kind of wild time. I feel like I say this at the end of every episode, that the world is wild right now, so I really hope that you take the time to look after yourself and be kind to yourself, and take your crafting, knitting, whatever time, take it and be selfish and fill up your, you know, your cup with the joy and meditative aspects that we get from our crafts. And don't feel bad about taking that time for yourself to enjoy your craft and enjoy your knitting, because we can't all keep pushing and fighting without taking that rest and taking that time for ourselves. So I do encourage you to do that with your lovely handicrafts, and I hope I've been a buddy, and I hope you've been kept you company a little bit today or whenever you're watching this. And yeah, I will talk to you very, very soon. I'll have lots of things done next time and lots of more fun things coming in the future. Thank you to everyone who's commented and subscribed. Thank you especially. People have been going back to the beginning and watching from the start, which is crazy to me that you go back to the start. Because, you know, this is what, episode 15, 16? So that's a good, like, we're almost at 24 hours of content. So, you know, maybe let's do a marathon, a Jonathan marathon. Maybe not. Anyway, I'll shut up now. I'm gonna go enjoy the sun, have another iced coffee, and go knit with some friends. And I hope you're well. I hope you're good. Let me know how you're doing, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys! Mm-hmm.